You are here for the beginning of something special. Some people have asked us why we would start a new church when there are already so many churches around. They've asked why we don't attend one of the other churches in the neighborhood that welcome women and lesbian, gay, bisexual, and/or transgender folks. But there are those of us who have been longing for a Catholic church, for the Catholic tradition that moves and feeds us in an environment where all are considered to be valued and loved by God without reservation. Some have asked us and will continue to ask, so are you a gay Catholic church? And the answer is no, and yes. No, we don't exist just for the LGBT community. In fact, that's not even our primary focus. But this will be a church that takes seriously the lives and stories of people on the margins, and that includes the LGBT community. This will be a church that tells the stories of LGBT people from the pulpit and allows LGBT people and families full access to the life of the church. But we also understand that it's not only LGBT people who have experienced marginalization. It's also women, people of color, people who are disabled, people who are in poverty. And we will center the lives of those on the margins because that marginalization has a deep effect, not just on the people who have been marginalized, but on all of society. It's in the midst of these worlds that House of the Transfiguration is born. We are a community that values the ancient practice of the Catholic Church. We treasure the ritual and the liturgy, the art and the icons, the bread and the wine. And we also treasure a modern practice that reflects the lives of ourselves and our families. We treasure a space where gay, lesbian, bisexual, and/or transgender people are welcome and affirmed as good. We treasure a community where women can be ordained and live out their gifts. We treasure a space that allows people to have agency over their own bodies and decisions, and a space that honors relationships and the ending of relationships in all of their complexity. We're in the midst of discovering that we are beloved by God. Then we begin to catch God's vision for the world. A world where all people know they are loved. A world where all people have enough to eat and are secure. A community where there is justice for the most marginalized. And once we catch that vision, then we cannot help but want to work to bring that world about. We are a people transformed, who in turn transform our city. In the beginning of this gospel passage, the disciples asked Jesus to teach them how to pray. And it's like they're asking, teach us what you care about. Teach us what issues are closest to your heart. And Jesus' concerns are earthy. For God to bring about God's kingdom. For there to be enough to eat. For the forgiveness of debts. The translation that we read of Luke talks about sins being forgiven. But in the earliest translations, they have the word debts. These are monetary debt. This prayer seems incredibly relevant to the world that we live in, with food security on the rise, with debts for students and others growing out of control. And these are the things that Jesus tells us to pray about. These are the things that Jesus tells us to be concerned about. The welfare of the people we are blessed to be surrounded by. See, it's not that we're required to work for justice in order to earn God's favor, but it's because we have seen ourselves to be beloved children of a loving God that we are inspired to work for justice. We are transformed, and so we want to transform the world around us to reflect the love we know. My hope is that that impulse for justice becomes the heartbeat of this community, a community which is nourished and strengthened by the ritual of the Mass, and then from that strength goes out into a sometimes hostile world and proclaims loudly that we and everyone else are beloved.